like the word rally. It means we come together, it means that we enthuse each other, it means that we look at what we can and what we can't do. Of course, we are in that what if moment, aren't we? What if the Labour Party don't do what they say they're going to do? What about if the 120 elements with the sub-clauses of the New Deal don't happen? What if they're not the party we want them to be? And sometimes I think as a movement, we're already getting ready to naysay some of the stuff that's gone on. But we've had, as the previous speaker said, 14 years austerity. 14 years where councils have had their services cut by 60%. Whereby we haven't invested in the NHS, we haven't invested in our public services. We actually see government ministers going on TV, and if you give a pay rise to the nurses, I saw Steve Barclay do this on Sky News. If you give a pay rise to the nurses, Mr Barclay, they will still be using the food banks where they work, but that's okay. And apparently it's workers' pay that drives inflation. Is it? Because the only two bits of legislation the Tories passed were about increasing the rights of pensions for rich people and taking the capital bankers' bonuses. I don't think that helped any worker in this country. I didn't see that trickling down in any way, shape or form for anybody in this room. So, what can we do? Well, we can do what we've always done. We can campaign, we can protest, we can stand there, we can articulate the voice of the people that we represent, our communities, our families, our unions, what we believe. But then we've got to build upon it. So I'm not too worried about the what if moment, if I'm honest. Because even if we only got 40% of what's being promised, we're 40 years better than we've been in the past. It gives us the building blocks to change the world. It gives us the building blocks then to convince people maybe that if it isn't the Labour Party that we want this moment in time, we can change that Labour Party. We can change the policies, we can change where we need to be and what we need to do. So I am quite not content, so I'll never be content. I'm an argumentative bugger, you might get with that. And the movement will never be content. While we have the lowest pensions in Europe, and people are then talking about not giving people heating payments, I'm not content. While we have 48% of people that are on income support, working 48 hours a week or more, telling us that people's work doesn't pay, or that we are paying too much for the housing that's out there and we need more housing to change it. We need the opportunity. I'm at a little moment, tipping moment in time whereby we've got rid of the bastards that were there. Right, let's see if the new lot turn out to be better. Because I hope they are, and I want them to be. And maybe that want is optimism too far, I don't know. But what I do know is that they've gone. What I do know is that we can change what we do. What I do know, the New Deal could be revolutionary. Now, we talk about MSLs. I want to pay great tribute to my executive committee. Because we took a decision. If you go and introduce minimum service levels, forced labour into my industry, we will give you 5 times more strife than you've currently got. And excuse my language, I hope I don't offend anybody. They shat themselves. And we were worried. Let's not, don't think that we're going to have some dark nights of the soul and what do? They call our bluff and whatever else. But we also knew it wasn't just about us. It was about this movement. It was about what was coming down the track in those other areas. In the border forces, in the FBU. I remember standing with Sarah and others, right, talking about MSLs in those other areas. They'd gone to Matt Rack and said, we want 71% minimum service levels. And he said, but you've cut the fire service. How do you get 71% for one fire engine? How's that work? And in the week in which we're talking about Grenfell, I think that tells us what we need to do is rebuild our communities, our public services, and all the things they've taken away from us. So we're at this wonderful moment in time whereby we're going to have, we can't afford to do it, where we have to argue you can afford to do it. We have to argue you have to build those houses, you have to build those assets, those railways, that greener vision that we need for a better world. Because if we don't do it now, when are you going to do it? And it has to start. I don't expect it overnight, but I do expect it. I've got 18 months left as General Secretary of ASLEF. And I want change. I've wanted change since I was a 16-year-old. So it's not coming quickly, is it? But with everyone in this room and what we do and what we believe, I believe we bang the doors, we open them and crack them ajar for all workers everywhere. We make it better for our communities. We actually make it better for future generations. Because we are the first generation to leave the world worse off in history than the generation that went before it. That can't be right, can it? You know, we've got children, we've got grandchildren. We want things that aren't happening, and we want them now. So I want the New Deal for workers. I want it in its entirety. I want every dot and every comma. Of course, what we'll go through now is, have we lost control of it? You know, the trade union movement drove it. Those trade unions, affiliated, non-affiliated, fed into it. We made it happen, it's going to happen. But now it goes into the hands of the civil servants. It goes into the hands of the lawyers and those who make policy. It goes into the hands of those that change the nuances of what we do and what we want and what we do. But the first thing we've got to do is take away those constraints upon the voice of workers. We've got to take away not having the right to organise. We've got to take away the right of not having the ability, without jumping through hoops, to have our voice articulated. We've got to take away any threats of forced labour through minimum service levels or whatever else we need to do. And we need to create that movement that grows us back to where we were in the 70s and 80s, where everybody felt there was a value being in a trade union, where they felt they were being listened to, where they felt they had an opportunity, where they felt we could be in a better place. And if this is a stepping stone towards doing that, I think we're in the right place. So colleagues, comrades, with you here today and this week, and what we do in future and what we've always done, we will achieve. Thank you for listening.